This is Jacob Hansen Joseph, founder of the Reicha Society. We have a concert March 21st at 7:30 at St. Paul Lutheran Church. Jacob, what is this concert?
Well, this will be this year's installation of the International Reicha Society. You forgot international in the title.
My bad.
Lewis, I'm sorry. We're going to be playing string quartets by Czech composers living in Vienna during the last half of the 18th century. This was the Vienna of Beethoven and Mozart and Haydn, and a little bit later Schubert. I mean, there was a lot going on. There were a ton of transplanted Bohemian musicians staffing the orchestras and chamber ensembles and the theater orchestras during the time, and many of them were also accomplished composers. Reicha was one of them, though he wasn't a performer as much. He was a composer. He lived in Vienna for almost 10 years. He rubbed elbows with all the hotshots of the time, including Beethoven, who he was close friends with. He was one of his patrons was Maria Theresa, who was the Holy Roman Empress and kind of a big deal, and passing out money to a lot of very capable musicians. Some of who we will be performing their music alongside Reicha's String Quartet Opus 90, number 2, it's going to be a quartet by a guy named Pavel Wranitzky. I almost said Anton Wranitzky because he had a brother who is also one of these Czech musicians living in Vienna. They were both members of Maria Theresa's Imperial Court Orchestra. They're both accomplished violinists and violists, and both composers, though Pavel was a composer of note and one of Maria Theresa's favorites, and will be performing a very interesting forward-looking string quartet by him. Sneak peek is it's only in 2 movements, which is bizarre for the time. It's bizarre for now, honestly. Very cool music. Opus 23?
15.
Opus 15, number 3?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. It's hard to remember all these quartet numbers. And the first piece on the program will be a quartet by a fellow named Leopold Kozeluch. Again, a Bohemian or Czech composer transplanted to Vienna. He was a real mover and shaker. He wrote a lot of music. He was the preferred conductor of Mozart and Beethoven to premiere their works. He premiered Beethoven's First Symphony from the podium. He was a politician in the musical world as well, and an interesting guy, another favorite of Maria Theresa, and made a name for himself as a leader of musicians' unions, musicians' guild. There was a musicians' guild that he founded that I think still actually exists in some form or another today. So 3 string quartets, all by Czech composers living in Vienna, contemporaries of Beethoven, Mozart, and Haydn, Leopold Kozeluch, Pavel Wranitzky, and of course Anton Reicha.
And so, what is the Reicha Society?
Okay, the Reicha Society.
International
Reicha Society. Good question, I'm glad you asked. It's a chamber music project I started a few years ago after I myself discovered these forgotten works of Anton Reicha, specifically some chamber pieces, some quintets, which I immediately recognized as being fabulous, music, real masterpieces, and nobody knows they exist. Nobody knows they exist partially because there's no modern editions of a ton of his music. So I took it upon myself to acquire facsimiles of the manuscripts and start working on creating modern editions. And the more I dug, the more music of Reicha's I found that was unknown and unpublished. And so it's become sort of a passion project of mine to discover these pieces, to edit modern editions of these pieces, and then with my friends and colleagues to perform them and make them alive for people to hopefully agree with me that this music is amazing. So that's the general idea behind the Reicha Society, International Reicha Society.
Yeah. And so, this is a string quartet. We have who else is playing?
Returning Reicha Society members, Cheyenne Malik on violin and Patrick Galvin on violin. I will be playing viola, and my colleague on the other side of the camera here is Louis Passner, and he plays the cello.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Sounds good. Anything else you want to say?
No. It's going to be a great concert, I think. We've already begun our work on it. Yeah, I think that's it. There will be swag. We have some new stickers, new Reicha stickers in the works. So come get your free sticker at St. Paul Lutheran in Oakland on March 21st at 7:30 p.m. International Reicha Society.
All right. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.